In the gleaming corridors of Apex Innovations, a cutting-edge tech firm in downtown Silicon Valley, arrogant CEO Victor Harlan ruled with an iron fist, his decisions swift and merciless. When he caught sight of the humble janitor, Miguel Rivera, accidentally spilling cleaning supplies near the executive lounge, Victor didn't hesitate. He fired him on the spot, belittling him in front of the entire staff. But Victor had no idea who Miguel truly was, or the storm of justice about to unleash. What secret identity did this unassuming janitor hold? And how would one act of cruelty become the catalyst for corporate reckoning and heartfelt redemption? Let's uncover the truth in this tale of hidden power and unexpected twists. But before we dive into the story, comment below where you're watching from today. And if you enjoy tales of unexpected justice and underdogs rising, don't forget to subscribe. The morning sun filtered through the towering glass windows of Apex Innovations headquarters, casting long shadows across the polished marble floors. Miguel Rivera pushed his cleaning cart down the empty hallway, the wheels squeaking faintly in the pre-dawn quiet. At 58, Miguel was a man of quiet dignity, his weathered hands bearing the marks of a lifetime of hard work. Born in a small village in Mexico, he had immigrated to the United States as a young man, chasing the American dream with nothing but determination and a knack for innovation. Back then, in the garage of his modest home, Miguel had tinkered endlessly, creating the prototype for what would become Apex's flagship product, a revolutionary AI software that streamlined supply chains for global businesses. He founded the company in the early 2000s, pouring his soul into it, but after a decade of growth, health issues and family pressures led him to step back. He sold controlling interest to investors but retained a silent majority stake, becoming a ghost in his own creation. Now, disguised as a simple janitor, Miguel had returned undercover to assess the company's direction under its new leadership. As he wiped down the executive conference table, Miguel's mind drifted to his family. His wife, Maria, had passed away 5 years ago from cancer, leaving him with their daughter, Sophia, who was now studying engineering at a local community college. "Papa, why do you still work so hard?" Sophia had asked him just last night over dinner in their cozy apartment. "The money from the company sale is enough." Miguel had smiled, ruffling her hair. "It's not about the money, Mija. It's about making sure what I built helps people, not hurts them." He hadn't told her the truth about his undercover role. Not yet. But the whispers of layoffs and unethical practices at Apex had reached him through old contacts, prompting this charade. Posing as a janitor allowed him to see the company's underbelly, the real treatment of its workers. The elevator dinged, and Victor Harlan strode in, his designer suit impeccable, phone glued to his ear. At 42, Victor was the epitome of corporate ambition. A Harvard MBA graduate who had climbed the ranks through ruthless efficiency and charm when it suited him. Hired as CEO 2 years ago, he had promised innovation but delivered cost-cutting measures that squeezed employees dry. "Yes, push the merger through," Victor barked into his phone. "I don't care about the redundancies. Fire who you need to." He hung up, his eyes landing on Miguel, who was quietly mopping a spot near the water cooler. Victor's lip curled in disdain. "You there, janitor? This floor looks like a pigsty. What do they pay you for?" Miguel paused, meeting Victor's gaze steadily. "I'm sorry, sir. I'll clean it right away." His voice was calm, accented but clear, betraying none of the fire within. Victor waved him off dismissively. "Just get it done. And stay out of sight. The board's touring today." As Victor walked away, Miguel overheard him muttering to his assistant. "These low-level hires are dragging us down. We need to outsource cleaning next." The slight stung, but Miguel pushed it down, reminding himself of his purpose. He had faced worse. Racist taunts during his early days in America, skepticism from investors who doubted a foreigner could build a tech empire. Flashbacks flooded his mind. Late nights in that garage, Maria bringing him coffee, encouraging him when prototypes failed. "You have a gift, Miguel," she'd say. "Don't let anyone dim it." Those memories fueled him now as he navigated the corporate world incognito. Throughout the morning, Miguel observed the staff's hushed conversations in the break room. A young programmer, Elena, confided in a colleague while Miguel emptied the trash nearby. Victor's planning massive layoffs. My team's on the chopping block. I have a kid to support. The other nodded grimly. He's all about profits. Doesn't care about us. By lunchtime, the tension was palpable. Miguel ate his sandwich in the basement storage room, away from prying eyes, jotting notes on his phone about overheard mismanagement, falsified reports, ignored safety concerns. Little did he know that the day's events would accelerate his plan. As the afternoon wore on, Victor hosted the board in the executive lounge. Miguel was called to refresh the coffee station, keeping his head down. But in his haste, a loose wheel on his cart caught on the carpet, spilling a bottle of cleaner onto the floor near Victor's feet. The liquid splashed slightly onto Victor's polished shoes. The room fell silent. Victor's face reddened with fury. "You incompetent fool!" he roared, standing up abruptly. "Look what you've done. This is a multi-million-dollar meeting, and you can't even push a cart straight." The board members shifted uncomfortably, but none intervened. Miguel knelt to clean it up. "My apologies, sir. It was an accident." Victor towered over him, his voice laced with venom. "Accident? You're a liability. Pack your things, you're fired. Effective immediately." "Security." 2 guards appeared, escorting Miguel out as Victor sneered. "We don't need your kind here anyway. Go back to whatever hole you crawled from." The humiliation burned, but Miguel walked out with his head high, the eyes of shocked employees following him. In the parking lot, he sat in his old truck, breathing deeply. His mother's words from years ago echoed, "Strength isn't in fighting back immediately, hijo. It's in knowing when to strike." He had gathered enough evidence, but this firing was the final straw. Little did Victor know, this janitor held the power to dismantle his empire. The following weeks at Apex Innovations unfolded like a pressure cooker ready to explode. Without Miguel's quiet efficiency, the building's maintenance suffered. Minor issues like flickering lights and unclean restrooms became symbols of deeper neglect. But more importantly, whispers of the firing spread like wildfire among the staff. Elena, the programmer Miguel had overheard, started a private chat group for employees, venting about Victor's cruelty. "That janitor was always kind. Helped me fix my desk once," she typed. "Victor's a bully." Victor, oblivious to the growing unrest, pushed forward with his cost-cutting agenda. In board meetings, he presented glossy slides promising record profits through streamlining, code for laying off 30% of the workforce. "We eliminate the dead weight," he declared, "and shareholders win." His assistant, a nervous young woman named Lisa, hesitated during one prep session. "Sir, some employees have families. And that janitor you fired. Rumors say he was a veteran or something." Victor laughed. "Rumors? He's nobody. Focus on the merger." Meanwhile, Miguel returned to his modest life, but he wasn't idle. From his home office, a far cry from the garage where Apex began, he reviewed the notes and recordings he'd made undercover. As the silent majority shareholder, he had access to internal documents through a trusted lawyer. What he uncovered chilled him. Victor had been inflating stock values with false data, ignoring employee complaints about overwork, and even discriminating in promotions, favoring those from elite backgrounds. Miguel's backstory fueled his resolve. He remembered arriving in America with $50 in his pocket, facing doors slammed in his face because of his accent. "I built Apex to be different," he muttered to himself. "A place where hard work matters, not your pedigree." Sophia noticed his preoccupation. Over dinner one evening, she set down her fork. "Papa, you've been distant since you quit that janitor job. What happened?" Miguel sighed, deciding it was time for partial truth. "I saw things there, media, injustice, people treated like disposable parts. It reminded me of why I started my own business long ago." Sophia's eyes widened. She knew bits of his history, the invention, the sale, but not the full extent. "You're going to do something, aren't you?" He nodded. "Yes, for them and for us." As weeks turned to a month, the tension at Apex escalated. Victor announced the layoffs via a cold email, sparking outrage. Protests formed in the lobby, subtle at first with employees wearing black armbands, then bolder with anonymous letters to the board. Victor dismissed them as entitled whining. But one day, while berating a team in the conference room, he overheard two workers whispering, "That janitor he fired? I heard he's connected somehow, knew too much about the software." Victor paused, a flicker of unease crossing his face, but he shook it off. "Nonsense. He's gone." Miguel, monitoring from afar, dropped subtle clues to fuel the fire. He anonymously emailed a few trusted employees, including Elena, with tips on Victor's shady dealings, nothing traceable, just enough to plant seeds. Elena, emboldened, started digging, uncovering emails about the inflated reports. The air at Apex grew thick with suspicion. Conversations hushed as staff darted eyes away from Victor's office. Little did Victor know, his arrogance had ignited a chain reaction, and the mysterious janitor was orchestrating it all. Miguel's isolation during his undercover stint had been trying. He recalled nights mopping floors while executives partied, their laughter echoing like mockery. But it built his empathy for the workers, the single mothers like Elena, the immigrants facing subtle racism. One flashback hit hard. A young Miguel pitching his AI prototype to investors, only to be told, "Stick to manual labor, son." That rejection had forged his success, and now it drove him to expose Victor's similar prejudices. By the end of the second month, Victor's world began to crack. Shareholders murmured about dipping stock prices amid rumor mills. Victor called an emergency board meeting to restore confidence, planning to scapegoat mid-level managers. As preparations buzzed, Miguel made his move. Through his lawyer, he requested a spot on the agenda as the anonymous majority shareholder. The board, intrigued by the mystery, agreed. The day of the meeting arrived, the conference room charged with anticipation. Victor stood at the head, projecting false bravado. "We'll weather this storm," he assured the board. But as the doors opened for the special guest, in walked Miguel, dressed in a simple suit, but with an air of quiet authority. Gasps rippled through the room. Elena, invited as a staff rep, widened her eyes. "The janitor?" Victor's face paled. "You? What are you doing here?" "Security." But the board chair raised a hand. "Mr. Rivera is our guest. Please sit." Miguel took his seat, his voice steady. "Thank you. For those who don't know, I am Miguel Rivera, the founder of Apex Innovations. I stepped away years ago but retained majority shares. I've been undercover as a janitor to see how my company treats its people." The room erupted in murmurs. Victor stammered, "This is absurd. He's lying," a disgruntled ex-employee. But Miguel continued, projecting documents on the screen, evidence of Victor's fraud, discrimination logs, and employee testimonies. "You fired me for a spill, Victor, but you've been spilling the company's integrity for years. Racist remarks, unequal pay, falsified reports. It's all here." Victor's eyes darted, sweat beading on his forehead. "This is fabricated. I built this company into what it is." "No," Miguel said firmly. "I built it. You corrupted it." The board, reviewing the files, nodded gravely. One member, an old ally of Miguel's, spoke up. "We've seen enough. Victor, you're suspended pending investigation." Victor's composure shattered. "You can't do this. I'm the CEO." He lunged toward Miguel, but security, irony of ironies, escorted him out, his shouts echoing down the hall. "You'll regret this, you nobody." As the door slammed, the board turned to Miguel. "What now, Mr. Rivera?" Miguel smiled faintly. "Now we rebuild, for the people who make this company run." The climax left the room in stunned silence, but Miguel's courage had tipped the scales. Elena approached him tearfully. "You were watching over us all along?" He nodded. "Someone had to." In the weeks following the board meeting, Apex Innovations underwent a profound transformation. With Victor officially fired after a swift investigation confirmed his misconduct, he faced lawsuits for fraud and discrimination. Miguel temporarily resumed leadership as interim CEO. He didn't seek the spotlight. Instead, He focused on healing the wounds. Layoffs were reversed with bonuses issued to affected employees. Diversity training became mandatory, and promotions were based on merit, not connections. Elena, for her bravery in speaking up, was promoted to lead a new ethics committee. Miguel finally revealed the full truth to Sofia, who hugged him tightly. "Papa, you're a hero." They visited Maria's grave together, where Miguel whispered, "We did it, mi amor, for our family and theirs." The company thrived under the changes, stock prices rebounding as news of the Undercover founder went viral, inspiring articles on corporate accountability. Months later, Apex hosted a company-wide event, a picnic where executives served food to staff, symbolizing equality. Miguel addressed the crowd, "I learned as a janitor what I forgot as a founder. Every role matters. Resilience triumphs over arrogance, and kindness builds empires." Employees cheered, stories of personal growth shared around campfires. Victor, disgraced and jobless, faded into obscurity, a cautionary tale. This journey reminded everyone that true power lies not in titles, but in integrity. Miguel stepped back again, content that his legacy was secure, passing the torch to a diverse new board. What moment in this story resonated with you the most? Was it Miguel's quiet resilience in the face of humiliation, or the shocking reveal that brought justice? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if a particular twist moved you, let me know. If you enjoyed this heartwarming tale of an underdog's triumph and unexpected redemption, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I pour my heart into crafting these stories of hope and change for you, and your support is what keeps me going. Until next time, remember, sometimes the least expected person holds the greatest power. See you in the next one.